Hey people, a very good morning to everybody.
Hi, Roger,
Uh,
and a very, very happy birthday to you from
Thank you so
Chakra,
much.
from Project HearthFire, from Spirit Spiral Healing, from the Roger-And-Chakra show, from all the guests and well-wishers, and from the Lilac Lamp. This is a very special
That's so
lamp
sweet.
which represents the mother. And I'll tell you why it represents the mother. It's because of the colors in this. I
Right.
associate these colors with my mother. I've always thought of them as my mother's colors. And after, even in her lifetime, she was very fond of these colors. These, all these highlights and these shades that you see in this are very dear to her. And there have been a lot of videos, pictures of both of us dressed in these combinations. And it's a great favorite of mine. And I received this as a surprise gift from somebody who is a daughter to me. And I received this
Wow.
on my birthday. So this,
Wow.
though it came to me as a late birthday present because
Hmm.
life has its way of keeping people so busy that they don't get to meet. But
Yes, it does.
when she finally arrived, she came with this exquisite object, and I let out such a sigh, such a cry of joy when I saw it. And I said, well, the lilac lamp should really be the symbol of Project Hearthfire. Well, if we have the foundation as a stone,
Yes.
we have the
Yes.
life spark and the life energy
Yeah,
as this candle. And this is the
absolutely.
lavender scented candle. And lavender was one of my mother's favorite scents.
It's one of my favorite scents.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome. So feel the scent, feel it reach you, I think that would be just beautiful. And I think both our rooms have a very surreal light today.
Yes,
Somehow it
they
looks
surely
as
do.
if we are both sitting in the same room and doing this. And rather interesting,
Definitely.
the aura that's being created right now. And I haven't the heart to turn on the lights because this candle is, it's so sublime. And it's this stands for a lot of things, this lilac lamp, this what they call the violet flame of Archangel Michael. It is protective.
Yes.
You see it as, it's also the sword of light with which you cut your
Yes.
cords, and you cut your all the negative links that you have. And Project Hearthfire is essentially about taking all that is good from the past, from heritage, and continuing to create the future with it, a meaningful future that, it's something, it's a continuum, and it has
Absolutely.
a very, Project Hearthfire really has a very major, very important history in my life. And my family history also is involved in this, which I don't want to get into too many details. You notice one thing, that I have this radiant yellow, floral yellow for
Yes.
in the background
Yes, I can
today.
see that.
I
Yes.
have a different backdrop today, which actually, if things had moved according to plan, which they never do, this would have been a drape, a background drape. You see, I have my arrangements for these shows for having different background screens, and I plan to have a screen, a change of screen, and different artwork which is displayed on the screen. I
That's
have been working on something very interesting. I've posted pictures of an old, not that old, but quite old. It's as old as this house. It's an aalna. It's a beautiful thing, very sleek, carved in
Mhm.
teak wood. I've posted this, and I actually want to use this with drapes on it. Because typically what you do is to, to hang your drapes, to hang your stuff on it. It's
Absolutely.
designed for just that. And basically what
Yes.
we call it, my parents used to refer to it as the coat stand. For, once upon a time, people wore coats. Now in this
Yes,
heat
they did.
wave, what the best thing you can do is to put attractive drapes on it and hang up all your artwork. And it's got a way in which you can improvise shelves. It doesn't have
Absolutely.
shelves, but it's structured in such a way that you can put up a shelf
Yes,
and
and bring out the best of its time.
you see, you can do all kinds of things with that object. And I've been looking at that object for some time. The only trouble is it's been stored away in the room, which is, shall I say, temporarily out of service, like these phones are. And that
Okay,
temporarily out of service has gone on for a year and a half because of lack of
that's a long
resources.
time.
So, one of the main
Makes sense.
things about Project HearthFire is seeking abundance from the universe and from the people in our multiverse, our friends, our well-wishers. Because this is
Absolutely.
this heritage, that we bring down in each of our lives. This heritage is very, very rich. You think back, you're
It
26
is.
years old today,
Yes, I am.
and you can look back on a very rich heritage in these 26 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you talk about the hearth fire, it definitely illuminates the entire room, but then again, it also needs its resources. It needs
It's
the
pending,
firewood.
right? It needs
Yes,
firewood, and
absolutely.
firewood in today's terms, it needs firewood, and it needs grain, it needs water,
Absolutely.
it needs the all those fundamentals. And it's very interesting that when I talk about Project Hearthfire, which I've been
Mhm.
speaking about this since 2015, possibly, when I was working with a book. I was actually doing some work for students of Maine Maritime Academy, where I was a consultant in
Okay.
humanities and specializing in India. And the students had to ask me questions, and I had to answer, to lead them to make certain discoveries. They were taught by Kim Raikes in class, and on
Mhm.
that basis, and even based on anything they had read or been exposed to about this country and its culture, and specifically the religious angle, but I would call that the spiritual angle, because lately religion has become a very dirty word, and which is very
Yes.
unfortunate, because those who are peddling religion, it's like medicine. Medicine has become a very dirty word now, because those peddlers and touts who have taken control of it are responsible for giving it a bad name. But then if you look at whoever, you look at the father of Indian medicine, who is God, as in Dhanvantri, the spiritual, the mythological physician, or you look at
Right.
Vaidyanath, who is the other aspect of divinity, as in, Vishnu, Shiva. They are all about
Absolutely.
your health, and they are all about never not
Yes.
healing. And since the day we took this never not healing out of medicine and made it a vested interest, it's become a dirty word.
It did. It surely
And
did.
the problem is, this has happened far longer with religion.
It has happened from the beginning of, I mean, from
So,
the very beginning of the concept of religion. Yes.
yes, yes. So you see, we are having a very tough job, even with the work I was doing for the Main Maritime Academy. It was
Mhm.
a tough job for me to extract metaphors, symbols, spirituality, a whole lot of, the essence out of the shell, which the shell is what we primarily push on people. And the shell is becoming increasingly aggressive, glitzy. and competitive and hostile towards anything it is
Yes.
in conflict with, anything it chooses, or anything it feels threatened by, anything it thinks it has a right to disagree with. And I find exactly the same thing happening in medicine. I mean,
It is. It
why
is definitely.
the show, we started the show, I was watching an episode on how far we have come from the original Hippocratic Oath, or even from any of the modern versions of the Hippocratic Oath, which has been updated, rewritten many times. But I would, when you, all the, there is erasure to some extent with all these rewrites, because these rewrites make adaptive changes. And sometimes when
Yes,
making
they do. They
adaptive
certainly do.
changes, some part of the essence is lost. So I
It
personally
has to be.
like to go back and read the original Hippocratic Oath, which is, dates back to 2,500 years or whenever it is that Hippocrates lived. And when you see it, it's a whole philosophy of never not healing. And the day I read this, something led me to read it. A very fine physician friend of mine, with whom I had a lot of interactions in 2020, when we were all locked up in jail. And she gave me a lot of courage, a lot of hope. And she was the one who really would keep pointing everybody to this oath and speak very earnestly, very passionately about how everything we were doing to address so-called sickness was conflicting with that oath. And I wonder how many people who study medicine today, how many people who are practicing, are they actually reading the oath? Are they thinking? Are they pausing and being mindful of everything they do, whether it is in tune with the oath? And I'm
And you're
hearing
talking
now
about
there are doctors who actually don't take the oath. And I think that
exactly.
if they don't take it, they better display a badge or something so that I at least will stay away from those doctors.
I mean,
It's,
there are people who even say the oath and then yet
and
they
yes,
don't
they
mean it.
will say the oath, they will parrot out the oath and they will violate it because
Yes.
they are not interested. And you see, it's the same thing with religion. I mean, lately I've been taking on a lot of, I haven't been taking them on because I see where they come from, I see where their anger comes from. So I don't waste a lot of energy taking on people, because taking on someone again is like, alien counter alien. So I prefer to be the alter alien. For those who have watched our Alien series, which I strongly uh, not advise,
Suggest.
not advise. I'm not a doctor, so which I
Suggest.
strongly urge you to watch, because
Right.
actually all our shows are like, it's, they are like a series. One
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
evolving out of another, and
Definitely.
it's a progression, and it's really like following a long story which has been serialized, except that the
Yes.
story
Yes.
isn't written as yet. We keep
It's
writing it,
being
writing
improvised
it, we are writing
as we
it
go.
in front of you and allowing you to, inviting you, sorry, allowing again sounds like a dog.
I guess we are inviting you to be a part of the story itself.
You are
Yeah.
all a part of the story, and
Absolutely.
which is why I freely open my hands and say, please, contribute what you can. You can contribute
Yeah.
money, you can contribute a workforce, you can send us people to help set this thing up. There are so many ways you can contribute. You can simply contribute by sharing, by telling the world that we exist
Absolutely.
and we are doing this. That's a huge contribution, which costs you nothing, but you don't
That's
even
a
think about
yeah.
it. And you are just lighting another lamp from this lamp, and that is all.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
it.
you're doing, and the light goes around the globe.
Yeah.
Once again,
That's
it's around the table. So I keep thinking in this episode, what I'm really looking at is I am looking at all of us. In the story I wrote in 2015, You see, these students were told to ask me one question each.
Okay.
As
What was the most interesting question that you
Professor
encountered?
Raikes asked, what was the most interesting question? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
One of the very interesting questions was on hunting and meat.
Hunting and meat. I mean,
Yes.
hunting and gathering meat.
I still remember the student's name, Kyle Haslam. If you're listening to this, this is a shout out to you. And I believe I gave, and you were extremely happy with the answer I gave you, because you said, I love going out and hunting and, getting getting my own meat, so to say, as in not buying it, but going out and hunting.
Now that sounds even more interesting, no?
Yes,
I mean, I'm
I have
even
given
more,
answer.
lured to listen to the
And you
story.
see, I what ended up happening with this is, and I have written about this in so many blog posts which many people have read. But now I think it's very important to weave all these disjointed posts together in a way that
Absolutely.
to give it a sequence to allow a picture to emerge, and that's really what I am doing. You see, I answered all these questions, these very interesting questions. There was another question on some other place, Trinidad, and some place where there was this huge statue of Hanuman. A
Okay.
student had asked about it
Okay.
and
Um.
had wanted to know why these statues were so huge. I don't I don't remember the explanation I gave him right now. I will have to refer to my notes, but my notes have gone far beyond notes, because you see what ended up happening with this is that it turned into I was writing these answers, and each of these these students, they were very naughty. Like they were told, ask one question, and they kept writing, and they were told, you
They kept
behave.
asking more
They
and
said,
more
they were
questions.
also told
Yes.
by Kim that you have to behave yourself, because Indians, they believe in courtesy towards elders, etc., etc. So make sure you call for professor and things like that. Otherwise, they will come straight at you with with your first name, etc. And she has said
Yeah.
that they are so casual and so disrespectful there, and though the culture there is, and because they train people for becoming to become mariners, and there is
Oh, right.
in the
Okay.
if you're in the maritime profession, when you do have
Mhm.
hierarchies and things like that, so it's not very difficult for these people to adjust to things like I captain, so it's
Ah, right.
it
Yes.
these students, and for them cultural studies, humanities are compulsory. They have to
Yes.
do this to, I mean, here who says, I mean, who insists in the curriculum on, you're told, okay, you must choose history or geography, you must choose one literature, you must choose something, but where is the interlinking to the work you're doing? You see,
Right.
it's
Exactly.
very important to have that interlinking. And it's very important
Absolutely.
for your professor of humanities to understand what impact humanities makes on your chosen profession. And those who go to this academy, they choose many different professions related to anything maritime, related to the
Yeah,
ocean.
I
They
mean, I
go,
encountered a question a few days ago.
yeah.
I mean, from my sister basically. She was asking my mom.
Mhm.
Mom was teaching her students, and my sister was studying along with them. And
Oh,
probably
which
she
class
was
is your
teaching,
sister?
yeah, and probably mom was teaching about I guess it was World War, or yeah, World War II, I guess.
Mm,
Yes.
mm, mm.
I guess she was teaching about that, and I was in my room and I heard a question from my sister that why do we need to study history? Why do we need to study this? I
Mm,
mean, she wanted to know the reason.
mm,
So because just like you said right now, that what's the implication of what we study or what we learn in our life?
Hmm.
Why should we do this? And that's an interesting question, I thought.
Yes.
That
Yes.
if I'm learning history, why I'm learning history? So
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
I had an answer in my mind, and um I went out. I was just walking around, and
Hmm. Hmm.
then I came in and I said that, you need to learn history, or you need to learn about uh the wars that happened in the
Hmm.
past,
Hmm.
so that you do not make the same mistake in the future.
Absolutely.
So that was the answer that I thought
Yes.
about at
Yes.
that point of time.
Yes.
And I guess that gives a reason to any child,
Hmm.
to uh, I mean, uh, it doesn't matter what the reason is. At least there's a reason for that person to study that subject now, you know and that's what matters, a reason, a
I think
meaning
there is
behind
a
it.
reason to study everything.
Yes,
Remember, we
yes,
spoke, Sri Devi and I spoke about curiosity. I think
yes.
curiosity is what keeps you alive. So there is a reason to study everything. Every observed phenomenon, there is a reason to.
Absolutely,
It's just
absolutely.
we have limited time and energy, so we are not able to study all the things we are curious about.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, the implications are everywhere, to be very honest.
Hmm.
But sometimes we just need to be aware that the implications are there,
Yes.
uh, for
Awareness.
example, yeah, I'm using every subject that I have learned till now.
Hmm.
I'm using all those subjects probably in my everyday life.
Hmm.
I'm using all those subjects
Hmm.
to do my things, to carry out my responsibilities and everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm
Yes.
using all those subjects,
Yes.
everything that I learned. But
Yes.
then again, I need to be aware of it. People should be aware of, this is what you're doing in your everyday life. Probably you learned it through that subject,
And in
from there.
education, it is so important for to encourage this awareness. Be aware, be aware,
Absolutely.
be aware of, be sensitive, be aware to what is going on
Being
around
curious,
you.
just like you said that, the kids
Question
started asking you.
it, think about it, form your own opinion, then
Mhm.
check your opinion against something. Your opinion doesn't
Absolutely.
get set in stone. One bad incident, one incident that triggers you, upsets you, can't freeze you in a particular position. You have to be,
That's true.
you have to go around, you have to pass the lazy Susan around for those who watched that episode and try
Yes, you
different
do.
perspectives. And this is
Absolutely.
why these children were told to ask. Children meaning, they were between 18 and 22, more or less, age-wise. And they
But
were,
still, the curiosity was
yeah,
there.
but you see, they were told to ask questions, and not a single one of them had difficulty asking questions. There was nothing like, oh, what do I ask? She said, you can ask anything, just be respectful. So I got this volley of letters from them, volley of
Hmm.
emails, which I had to keep track of, which went, Dear Professor Rao, how are you? They would all start off in this very formal way. And I hope you don't mind, Professor Raikes said we could ask you one question, but while framing this question, another question came to mind. So I hope you don't
Definitely.
mind that I have slipped in another question here. And there were several children, there were a couple of them who said, I really don't know what to ask, but if I have to ask you one question, I will ask you this. And then from that one question, another question spun out peacefully.
That's what
So
happens.
these
That's what happens, no?
children were so amazing, so amazing. I was completely bowled over. And I had I had a time frame which was extended twice because of the nature of the questions. I ran them by Kim, and Kim said, "Wow, like, oh, this is what these monkeys have been up to." And I said, "Yes, they are asking me all this, and I'm
I
going
mean,
to
you
answer
just
it."
need to give them the opportunity to ask
The end
the
of,
questions.
she said, they will ask you one question and you answer in a short paragraph. A short paragraph. Each one of these questions got an answer from me, which was an essay. And that my famous 33 essays. And when I shared some of those essays with a few people, including Sri Devi, they said, quick, you publish this. This is worth it.
Where are those
I
now?
went back to those essays and said, no, I am not going to string 33 essays together into a textbook and publish it. Because my creative juices had started flowing. So out of this emerged a work of fiction. And this work of fiction had these 33, not all 33 maybe, but a significant number of representatives of these 33 gathering in a cottage by the ocean in Maine.
Okay.
And I find, and this is imagination, you know, I've never been to Maine. I've never stepped out of this country. Most of the time, I don't step out of this house.
So they posted you the questions, or they wrote an email or something?
To me,
they emailed the questions.
I sat and wrote big hefty answers, which were essays, the 33 essays. And I sent those 33 essays back to them. Some of them said, please, if you don't mind. And they came back for a clarification. I clarified some of the points on the essays, and then they had a test for which they got credit.
They had a test.
Yes. And the lowest mark anybody got there was a B+.
That's a pretty good thing.
Straight A's. And she said, I am mighty impressed, you know, mighty impressed. She was like completely knocked out by the caliber of the students, which both of us had tapped into.
Yeah, because you are
kept in touch with me for a while about his experience of the ocean and what what he saw, what he observed, how they got his mind working. And besides the actual technical work he did, what attracted him to the ocean, you know, he took off on philosophic lines, aesthetic, philosophic. There are so many aspects of this, which it was really the most beautiful project of my life. And
that sounds beautiful, in fact.
This, I said, okay, you know, and this book has been cooking since 2015. I keep going back to it. Something disturbs me. Something disturbs me again, and so on and so forth. But I haven't given up on it. The project is codenamed A Knight's Tale.
How far is it to completion?
See, if I leave everything else and focus on this, which I'm unable to do. This is the biggest struggle. That, you know, when you have everything, all the ideas, for those ideas to coalesce into the actual book, you need to lock yourself in, shoo away everybody, get a peaceful,
that's something that you need
turn off your phone and just write without another care in the world. This is an ideal situation. Kim, despite not having anything like this ideal situation, completed her book, that big fat book called the Quadrant trilogy. It was 34 years in the making. So you can imagine all that book went through in her head, all that it went through in her notes.
Yes. I mean, I think the ideal situation that we're talking about is more of a mental and spiritual thing than a physical thing sometimes.
Yes, I'm not interested in churning out a book to be an author and join the League of Authors.
Exactly.
To me.
Yeah, that should mean something to you. Absolutely.
It meant something to me. Lately, we've been talking about the films, you know, the film at least, all the films, the plays and the films that I worked on, you know, the ideas.
Yes,
One completed play, because when you're 13 years old, you're really your parents' guest, you know, so you get all the time in the world to sit and write that play. And I found that window of opportunity in that 10-day, that very unexpected 10-day holiday, which I told you about, on the All the World's a Stage episode.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, I remember.
you remember that, right? So it
Yes.
was when you have that bit of luxury, you're able to produce it. The next play that I worked on was more. It was more ambitious because I was thinking in all the plays I was thinking in frames.
Right. Okay. You were
So
thinking like
the second
visualizing the
I was
entire
yeah, the second
movie
one
or
I was
something.
actually thinking in frames. So
Ah, okay.
even more difficult to write actual dialogues. So I wrote snatches of dialogues, and then I would write pieces about, okay, this is happening here, this is happening here. What happens on screen, I was describing in words. At that time, I was actually foraging the internet to find out how screenwriters did their job. Pleasantly
And you
surprised
sent me,
to find that without anyone having trained me, I was doing it the right way.
yeah, because
I was
the
doing it in
the
one of
text that you sent
the ways.
me,
Yes, I sent you
yeah,
something yesterday, right?
that was very vivid. I mean, you could visualize what's going on. You wrote it very clearly.
I wrote
And
it very clearly, and that's
yes,
exactly
yes,
what I was doing.
that's
And the
hmm,
stupid fool that I
yes.
was in 29, and the doofus of an engineer that I had back then,
Hmm.
technician, the computer technician I had, was really led me up the garden path. He wasn't giving service and so on and so forth. And that's when in 2012, on the day I had my glaucoma attack and I was in great pain, I was
Hmm.
the very day, your pain and your joy come together. And that was the day my present techie, whom I've been with for 11 years, which is quite a lifetime in this
Yes.
profession. He that was the day he came into my life. Tragically, I called him for a disc crash. I found him through someone. I found him through my very tragically deceased driver.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
All
you see,
right.
I found him after my driver's death through my driver's
Okay.
son-in-law when I had gone for the driver's shroud.
Okay.
So the world
There's
works in such strange ways. And this person said, I can fix your computer, the driver's son in law. And the day he came to fix it, he brought this guy. And I saw that while he really didn't know much about fixing computers, the guy he had brought with him knew about fixing computers. And soon thereafter, he exits the scene, leaving me with this guy. And
and that's how
when I called him next, he said, no, actually, my main profession is teaching English. I said, oh,
uh
and
okay.
this is
That's
just a
interesting.
side hustle for me, so I'm sending Dharminder to you.
Ah, that's how you met Dharmender.
And then he came up with all these ifs and buts, maybe, see, be very careful, don't give anything to him. I can't guarantee that he won't steal, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why he was doing all this. So, initially I eyed this guy with suspicion. To be completely like, why would I eye this guy of all guys with suspicion? I mean, it was a humbling experience for me on one occasion because I was very stressed over something and he was going away for Chhat Puja or Diwali or something or somebody's wedding. He brought his entire desktop from the house, set it up alongside my desktop and said, if you ever have a crash, he also set up my internet on it and said, if you ever have a crash, you can just switch to this. This is my personal machine. I'm leaving it for you.
Now
So
that's
I could have been the thief at
something that you
the
don't
top with
see
this machine.
usually.
So you see how life teaches you about people. And today, I called him and said, look, I order you to come because I have a problem. it's this, I mean, this is the kind of connection we have. So I am
Yeah.
really blessed in this. I just keep praying that he stays healthy because after having a blessed connection like Sailesh falling ill in the way he did,
Yes.
And
Yes.
I am still determined to give Sailesh his eyesight back by some
Yes.
means, because Sailesh was supposed to Zoom is going to stand us up very soon. So
Yes.
you see, and this is our shall I call this the inauguration and the consecration episode
Yeah,
of
definitely.
our episode.
Because
So we'll close this
uh
down and we'll have a coffee break and come to brass tacks. And as I
yes.
was so busy talking about myself and my project and wishing Roger for his birthday, lest we forget Shubha Nababarsho, everybody.
Shubha Novovarsho to everyone.
Because
Yes.
this is
Yes,
the day
definitely.
when one should launch any project. And this is the
This
reason
is,
we
yeah,
chose this day.
absolutely.
And this
This
is
is
the reason we are shining this lamp, which we hope will light the hearth fires in many homes and will fill your lives with the beautiful perfume that I'm getting from this candle right now. I've not been able to show you the mother lamp because the mother lamp was lit yesterday for Puttandu, which is the Tamil New Year. And
yes, yes.
mother lamp, these days the oil you get smokes so much that the lamp has already turned black. I have to clean it again before I light it. So
Right.
please know that this I use food grade oil. So please know what oil is going into your stomach these days. Beware. After saying
Definitely.
that, I cooked in ghee last night.
No, I like things being cooked in ghee though, but then again, yeah.
Yeah, and I like things being cooked in ghee. And finally, the doctors have agreed with our ancient wisdom that ghee is good for you. So here goes.
I guess.
Anyway, so to all of you, let's take a break now, and
Absolutely.
we'll be
Let's
back.
take a
And
break
we'll be back
and we'll be
without
back
this,
with more
without
upon
this
Project
surreal
HearthFire.
writing, but surreal lighting and down to brass tacks.
Absolutely.
Everybody, bye for now.